Hello guys, welcome. I have finally managed to sit down and get something pulled together to make this video explaining to you how my KDP challenge went, my book a day in May challenge, because I know that some of you will be interested to see how that turned out, especially those of you that were following the vlogs that kind of abruptly finished because I got so busy. What I think I'm going to do is explain to you why I kind of had to stop recording for the challenge. Then I'm going to give you a whole kind of set of my results, the how many books I made and the different types of book I made, and also whether any of them have sold, and if so, how much money have I made from them so far. And for those of you that are interested, I've written down a load of thoughts and ideas and kind of positives and negatives and just all sorts of thoughts that I've had about completing the challenge, and I thought I would talk those through after I've given you my results. So first things first, what happened to the vlogs? Well, some of you will have checked out my little community post and you know that I pick up some work for an exam board in the UK. Over here, kids do their exams in the summer, and because I'm a qualified teacher, I can pick up exam work which involves marking exam papers, or what I do, which is moderating A-level coursework. A-levels are the exams that students take at the age of 18 in the UK, and in my subject specialism, they produce a piece of independent inquiry, which is a piece of coursework that gets marked by the school, and then my job is to moderate the marking that the schools have been doing. I'm not really allowed to share any more than that because the whole process is confidential. So the work itself is not a problem. It's work that I really enjoy doing. It's very, very different from all of the other things that I do online, and it gives me a really, really strong connection to my profession. However, I didn't think it started until the 1st of June. That's wrong. It actually started I'd say about 10 days before that, and I was still in the throes of the challenge, and then all of a sudden I had all of this extra work to do on top of everything else, and also I had got a much higher allocation of work to do this year than in previous years. So the work started earlier than I thought and was just more than I was expecting. Ordinarily, not a problem. However, in the middle of that challenge, where I was already not really ahead of myself, it got really tricky. So I decided that I would stop the vlogs. I'd have to start my exam work in order to not get behind with it, but I also wanted to try and keep chipping away at the challenge. So the first thing that I did was I changed my table of the types of books that I was trying to create and how many of each one I was trying to create. I've got it in front of me, but I will put a copy of the sort of slightly changed chart on screen for you now, so you can see what I ultimately ended up aiming for and what I actually managed to achieve. So I changed my target number of notebooks to 17. Previously it had been 7, but I'd already kind of over created them, and I had quite a lot of front covers that were either finished or almost finished, and I thought, right, if I up that one, then I can kind of get my numbers of books created up using that strategy. Bit of a cheat because notebooks is just the front cover, but at this point I didn't care. I had them ready and they had been created during the time of the challenge, and I just thought, let's just get these sorted and get these listed. So my target was 15, but I actually ended up uploading 17 of them. The coupon book I had done quite early on in the challenge, and I really did not enjoy making it. I'm probably never going to make another one. It was really good to experiment and to just try something different, and my target was just to create one, see what it was like. It's uploaded, it's approved, it's out there in the world. Someone may want to buy it, but I doubt it. And then scrapbook paper, I realised that I can actually make most scrapbook papers fairly quickly. There are a few things that I've created where it's been a little bit more technically difficult, or the book has been like a thicker book than some other scrapbook paper pads that I've made, but generally speaking I can rattle out a decent scrapbook paper pad fairly quickly. So I decided to increase my target there to 12, whereas originally it had been 7. However, even though I did that, I did not manage to produce any more scrapbook paper, and so I ended up with 7 of them over the course of the month, kind of finished and uploaded and approved. I'm still pretty chuffed with that, but I could have done a lot more had I not had the exam work starting earlier than I thought. The planners and workbooks was an interesting one. I reduced my target down to 1 because I really thought I could get the one that I had started finished and uploaded, but I just couldn't. There was just so much more to it than I thought. It's not just a straightforward planner with a few boxes or things that are being kind of like repeated. It's actually something where every day has something slightly different on it. So it's quite a complicated planner in a niche that is slightly competitive, but I wouldn't say massively competitive. I think it's one that when I finish producing this book, it is likely to sell. Whether it sells a lot, I don't know, but there was just too much work left to do on this one to get it finished. Then I talked about the new niche book in a new niche that I have discovered that does not look like it has been exhausted by other KDP sellers, at least not yet. I was supposed to create 2 of those. I created 1 and I managed to get that one uploaded and approved. And then I think I started tinkering about with a second one, because if I go onto Canva, I can see that I've got like a copy of the original one and some of the elements and bits and pieces in it have been changed. So I think I did actually start the second one, even though the chart doesn't say that, but I was nowhere near finishing it. So in total then, I uploaded 17 notebooks, 1 coupon book, 7 scrapbook paper books, and 1 book in a new niche. So that's 26 books in total, and my aim was 30. Now, those are the results in terms of how many books I actually managed to create. And now I have got written down, I'm gonna have to keep looking down at my notepad because, you know, I haven't got time. I haven't even got time for this video, but I'm making it anyway. I need to just read it off my notebook. So in terms of sales from the books that were uploaded as part of the challenge, in May itself, so the month that they were uploaded in, I made 4 sales from books from the challenge, and that was across 3 different books. One of those books sold twice. All 3 of those books were scrapbook paper books. And in terms of my royalties from those 4 sales, I made £8.47, which is $10.77. Then in June, I made 7 sales from books from the challenge. 5 different books sold, and 2 of them sold 2 copies. 6 of those sales were from scrapbook paper pads, and 1 sale was from the new niche book, which I was really chuffed about, and I now feel kind of validated and vindicated on that one, that I am now going to go and make at least half a dozen books in that niche and just kind of see what happens. The royalties from those sales in June came to £16, or so far have come to £16.87. So what day is it that I'm recording this? I think it's the 20th today, or the 21st. I don't know. It's a Wednesday. I don't even know what the day is. Honestly, so snowed under with work at the moment. Anyway, £16.87 so far this month, which is about $21.46. So far, so what are we? We're about 20 days kind of out from the challenge. They have made me $32. Yeah, $32.23. And I didn't add up the pounds. 24, about £25, 25 quid, $32. And that's kind of within 20 days. Now, that might not sound like a lot. Admittedly, that is not a huge sum of money, but you have to remember that all of those books are now out there. I've already got some that are making, you know, repeated sales. They've always got the potential for me to get behind them with ads, which is something that I'm considering over the next sort of couple of months, is kind of testing that out. But even if they just get some organic sales, I've made those books, they're done. They're on Amazon, they're going to get repeated sales probably. So overall, I'm not ecstatic about what I managed to achieve, but I am generally like quite pleased. Very British, quite pleased. Now, for those of you that want to hang out a little bit longer, let me find my little I've lost the page now. I wrote down some things about the challenge. Oh, I should say, if you have any like questions about it, things that I haven't covered, then put them in the comments box. I mean, they might get covered by what I'm about to say here. So, right, okay, my thoughts then. My thoughts on the challenge. First of all, May was completely the wrong month to do this in. I picked it instead of April because it rhymed, and I just thought a book a day in May, that sounds really cool. But it's completely the wrong month for me to do something like that, for, you know, the reason of the exam board work that I pick up every summer. And I do that every summer because, well, for two main reasons. The first one being that my income from my reselling business, my jewellery shop and vintage shops and stuff like that, that takes the most unbelievable nosedive during sort of May, June and July. I mean, it just hits the skids. It's just terrible. And so financially, it makes sense for me to take on, you know, like some freelance work, like a kind of temporary contract during that time. And the other reason why I do it is, you know, because I do miss an awful lot of things about the job that I used to do. And this is something that keeps me connected and up to date with what's happening in the secondary education sector in the UK. So those two things are really important. I'm not going to not do that work for the sake of having a rhyming challenge with KDP. So the challenge moves, not my exam work. The other reason why May is just not the right month is because I'm a gardener, as you know, if you have watched any of my vlogs, if you've gone and checked out my my little personal YouTube channel where I kind of share things about my garden, my allotment, etc. You know, that all kicks off in May. Like, May is a really busy, heavy gardening month. And so, you know, I'm kind of growing all of these plants from seed. I'm trying to make sure that, you know, they're being looked after, taking care of pests, diseases, watering them, planting them out when they're big enough, you know, pruning things, sorting, just so much stuff going on in the garden at the same time. May is completely the wrong month. So guess what I'm going to do next year? I'm still going to do the challenge, but I'm going to pick me a different month to do it in. And I think at the moment, a better month for me to do it in is March. I'm also considering August because things kind of settle down in the garden around that time. But I think I'm more likely to plump for March because I think in August I'm going to want to just spend time enjoying the garden and things like that, and enjoying the good weather and being outside as much as possible. So probably March of next year, it will be a book a day in March. The other thing I realised is I completely underestimated how much time it would take me to create some of the book ideas that I had, and to create them for the first time as well. The reason why the notebooks and the scrapbook paper books don't take me as long is because I have an awful lot of the sort of like the formatting sorted out. I know exactly how many pages to create. I have, you know, front covers that just have slightly interchangeable, you know, things going on, and I've got all of the templates set up on Canva and things like that. And I was including quite a lot of new to me books in this challenge, whereas I think next year I will have some, because it was good to push myself into creating something new, but I will maybe stick to something like 4 or 5 types of book that I'm really familiar with making and have got templates for, and then maybe just one new type of book or something like that. Part of the problem was maintaining the vlogs. That was my own fault. You guys would have been happy with me uploading just like whenever, but I set myself this like creating a book every 5 days, creating a video every 5 days, and that was just too much. That was too much. So I think next year I will create 1 video a week, and it won't necessarily be vlog style. It will be more of just like a chatty catch up of what I've managed to do. Maybe a tiny little bit of vlogging in there, but nothing where I feel like I should be picking up the camera every day. And then that will kind of give like a sort of a sequence of videos where I've got an intro to the challenge. I've got like the 4 it'll be 3 updates, and then the 4th update will be like a sort of like the end of the challenge and a kind of wrap up. So that will work a lot better. And the other things that I've got noted down here is that actually a real positive is that this is the highest number of books that I've ever added to KDP in a month. I've never really pushed myself with KDP in any way, shape or form, and it was really interesting just to like focus on it a bit more and to feel that I was kind of giving it some of my time and a little bit of dedication. And something else that I was really committed to was to not compromise on the quality, and everything I've uploaded was definitely at least the standard that all of my other books have been so far. Some of them definitely better. Two of the books that have sold, one of which has sold more than one copy, are, as far as I'm concerned, the best front covers I have ever made for any of my books. I kind of looked at them and I was just like, oh no, that looks good. I decided that I would rather not meet my goal number of books than upload stuff that was rubbish. Oh yeah, the other good thing is that I did more research than usual, hence finding the new niche, and have since found a second one. So that was really good. Oh, how could I not start with this? So two of the books that have sold, and both of them, I think both of them have sold more than one copy. At least one of them has sold 2 copies, are scrapbook paper pads of patterns that I have made myself with my own bare paws on Procreate. I made all of the interior pages and they've sold. Selling books where I've created all of the artwork in them, it was such a satisfying feeling, and it was a real confidence boost, bit of an ego boost, and I almost couldn't believe it, because I'm not the world's best artist. I always think of myself as someone who I can draw a little bit, and I'm quite good at sort of following tutorials and learning techniques and kind of getting a little bit better at it. But I never thought that I could ever make something that people would buy. And then I sat there and I just thought, oh, does this mean I can call myself an illustrator now? I mean, I don't know, does it? I illustrated some stuff and sold it. I mean, does that an illustrator make? I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what to think about it yet. I'm going to do it more just to see if those 2 were a complete fluke or not. But I want to do it more because it increases the uniqueness of the books that I'm creating, and it just makes them less copyable, which is something I'm always looking for really at the moment, because some of the simple scrapbook paper books that I've made have now been copied, and mine are still selling. I don't know that anything that's kind of new to the market has necessarily taken over, but I'm sure they're nabbing a bit of custom from me, and it's because those books are relatively simple and they're easy to copy. Whereas if I'm creating my own artwork, then other people just can't copy it unless they've somehow got hold of my file. If I create my own work, then nobody else can copy it. They could copy the theme of the scrapbook paper pad or the notebook or whatever, that's fine, but they're not going to have my unique illustrations, because I won't put any of those graphics that I use up for sale anywhere. So that has been a huge unexpected positive. And then the other things that I've noted down here are, I used tools for the first time. So I used Sale Samurai and BookBolt to try and look at kind of what scrapbook paper was selling the best on both platforms, because I figure you're going to get a crossover between Etsy and, I almost said YouTube, that's not the word, Amazon. I didn't get on great with those, I have to say. I think I've still got a lot more to do in terms of figuring out how those tools are going to be useful to me, but I at least experimented with them. The more successful tool though, as you will have seen from my previous video, is REFERRAL, and I spoke to one of their representatives, Michelle, it must have been in May actually, and was just talking through with him just so many ideas I've got for using it, certainly in KDP, but also in loads of other things that I'm doing as well. And that was a tool that really just kind of fits with me a lot better, I think, than the other 2. And I think that did me some good, actually, sort of starting to look at some different tools and things. And actually the other thing that I started to think about during this period, and I don't know if it was because of the challenge or not, it could have been because I was focusing on KDP a lot more, is just thinking about how much the percentage of my books that make sales is high, I think. And it's because I tend to get a few sales from that boost that Amazon gives things when you first upload them, when they're first kind of published. I think you probably get about almost 30 days grace, where they're making it show up in search results towards the top. And I just kind of was thinking to myself, well, I'm getting sales, but I'm not getting established enough during that period. And so I'm really thinking about starting with some lottery ad campaigns, but then also targeting my books when they're new, quite what's the word, like aggressively, and then kind of pulling back, because the books that get established of mine, they do then go on to kind of keep making sales. So I think the challenge encouraged me to think much more about KDP as a business and about growing it even further. And then finally, I've got quite a few half-started books that once I get past this, exam work that I'm doing, which finishes on the 2nd of July, as soon as I kind of get into July, I've got all of this stuff just sat there waiting for me to, finish off. Some things just need a few extra pages, some things need a front cover. The planner still needs quite a bit of work, but I can kind of happily pick up where I left off, and I should then be able to put out a fairly big chunk of books in July as well. So of course, I would love to have a chat in the comments about what you thought of the challenge, what you think of my results, and also some of the other points and things that I've made after I talked about my results. Do you think it was worth me doing? And do you think I'm mad for doing it again next year? Thank you so much for spending some time with me again, and I will see you again soon.